Hyunwoo Kim stood in the white corridor of Orbital Station Harmony 7, waiting for his next assignment. The station floated in space like a giant metal flower, home to diplomats from dozens of alien worlds. He had been working here for 6 months now, and the job was getting boring. Too much paperwork, not enough action. His communicator buzzed. "Report to Command Center 7 immediately," said the mechanical voice. Hyunwoo walked through the curved hallways, passing aliens of all shapes and sizes. Some looked like giant insects, others like walking crystals. A few resembled humans but with blue skin or extra arms. After 3 years in space, he was used to it all. The command center was a large room with screens covering every wall. Admiral Koss, a tall alien with gray skin and 4 eyes, stood waiting for him. Next to the Admiral was something Hyunwoo had never seen before. She looked like a person made of living glass. Her body was clear and shiny, with light moving through her like water. She was beautiful in a strange way, but also completely alien. When she moved, tiny musical sounds came from her crystal body. "Specialist Kim," Admiral Koss said. "Meet Veltara of the Silith people. She will be your new assignment." Hyunwoo looked at the crystal woman. "What kind of assignment?" "A diplomatic mission," the Admiral explained. "Veltara must travel to Mordani space to negotiate a peace treaty. Your job is to keep her alive." The crystal woman made a sound like breaking glass. Hyunwoo realized she was laughing, but not in a happy way. "Admiral, with respect, this is not acceptable," Veltara said. Her voice sounded like wind chimes in a soft breeze. "My people have spent months planning this mission. We have detailed security protocols. We do not need this human's chaotic methods." Admiral Koss turned all 4 eyes to her. "The last 3 diplomatic teams sent to negotiate with the Mordani never returned. Traditional methods have failed. We need something different." "Different?" Veltara's crystal body grew brighter with anger. "You mean unpredictable? Humans are famous for making things up as they go. How can I trust my life to someone who has no plan?" Hyunwoo stepped forward. "Actually, I always have a plan. I just don't tell anyone what it is." "That is exactly what I mean." Veltara's voice rose higher. "Silith do not work this way. We plan everything. We consider all possibilities. We prepare for every situation." "And how did that work out for the last 3 teams?" Hyunwoo asked quietly. The room went silent. Admiral Koss activated a holographic display showing 17 star systems highlighted in red. "These worlds will fall to the Mordani Empire if this peace mission fails," the Admiral said. "Billions of lives depend on success. The Mordani respect only strength and cunning. Previous negotiators tried logic and reason. They are all dead." Veltara stared at the display. Her crystal body dimmed as she thought about all those lives. "The human military record speaks for itself," Admiral Koss continued. "Earth's forces have won battles that should have been impossible. They find solutions where none exist. This is what we need now. I have studied human military history," Veltara said slowly. "Your species does achieve unexpected results, but your methods make no sense. You break your own rules. You ignore good advice. You take terrible risks." "Sometimes terrible risks are the only way to save lives," Hyunwoo replied. "I've been in impossible situations before. I'm still here." Admiral Koss handed Hyunwoo a datapad. "You leave tomorrow on the diplomatic vessel Silver Convergence. The journey to Mordani space takes 3 weeks. Use that time to work together." Veltara made the glass-breaking sound again. "Work together?" "Admiral, humans and Silith think in completely different ways. It is like asking fire and ice to cooperate. Then learn from each other," the Admiral said. "Veltara, your logical mind can help Hyunwoo plan better. Hyunwoo, your creative thinking can help Veltara prepare for things she cannot predict." Hyunwoo looked at the crystal woman. She was clearly unhappy, but he could see intelligence in her bright blue eyes. "I've worked with aliens before. We can make this work." "I have never worked with humans," Veltara admitted. "Your species frightens me. You do things that make no logical sense, yet somehow you succeed. How is this possible?" "Maybe that's something we can figure out together," Hyunwoo said. 3 weeks is enough time to learn about each other." Admiral Koss nodded. "Good, but understand this, both of you. The Mordani Empire has been expanding for 50 years. They show no mercy to the weak. If they are not stopped at this peace conference, they will continue their war across the galaxy." The Admiral's 4 eyes focused on Hyunwoo. "Specialist Kim, Veltara's life is in your hands. But more than that, The lives of billions depend on her reaching those negotiations alive and successful. No pressure, Hyunwoo said with a small smile. Pressure is precisely what you should feel, Veltara said seriously. This mission cannot fail. My people have spent years preparing this peace proposal. If the Mordani accept it, the war ends. If they reject it, they'll reject it if you're dead, Hyunwoo pointed out. So let's focus on keeping you alive first. We can worry about the negotiations after we get there. Veltara's crystal body flickered with different colors as she considered this. You are already doing it, she said. You are making this sound simple when it is incredibly complex. There are thousands of variables to consider. Security protocols, diplomatic procedures, cultural requirements, and we'll deal with all of that, Hyunwoo said calmly. But not all at once. One step at a time. Humans. Veltara muttered, her body now glowing a frustrated orange color. You reduce everything to simple steps. Because most things are simple when you break them down, Hyunwoo replied. Even complex problems have simple solutions. You just have to find them. Admiral Koss watched this exchange with interest. I think this partnership might work better than either of you expects. Report to Docking Bay 12 tomorrow at 800 hours. Your ship will be ready. As they left the command center together, Veltara walked carefully beside Hyunwoo. Her crystal feet made small ringing sounds on the metal floor. I hope you understand what you have agreed to do, she said quietly. The Mordani are not like other species. They are warriors who see negotiation as weakness. They will try to kill us both. Then we'll have to make sure they don't succeed, Hyunwoo said simply. Veltara stopped walking and stared at him. How can you be so calm about this? Do you not understand the danger? Hyunwoo stopped too and looked at her glowing crystal face. I understand the danger perfectly, but worrying about it won't help us survive. Planning for it will. But you said you do not plan. I said I don't tell people my plans, Hyunwoo corrected with a grin. I never said I don't make them. For the first time, Veltara's crystal body glowed with what might have been amusement. Perhaps this partnership will be more interesting than I thought. The diplomatic vessel Silver Convergence was not what Hyunwoo expected. Instead of a military ship, it looked more like a flying hotel. Smooth white walls, comfortable furniture, and large windows showing the stars outside. Everything was designed to make alien diplomats feel safe and comfortable. Veltara had the largest guest room, filled with crystal formations that helped her feel at home. Hyunwoo's room was smaller but had everything he needed. The ship's crew was mostly Altarian, tall, thin aliens with pale blue skin who spoke in whispers. On the first day, Veltara called a meeting in the main conference room. She had covered the walls with charts, maps, and detailed security plans. Her crystal body glowed bright yellow as she worked. I have analyzed every possible threat we might face, she announced when Hyunwoo arrived. Pirates, Mordani advanced scouts, equipment failures, navigational problems, and 43 other scenarios. Hyunwoo looked at all the charts. What about scenarios you haven't thought of? That is impossible, Veltara said firmly. Silith planning accounts for all variables. I have considered every logical possibility. Logic doesn't always apply in dangerous situations, Hyunwoo said, sitting down. Sometimes the threat comes from something completely unexpected. Veltara's crystal body shifted to orange, a sign of frustration. This is exactly what I was afraid of. You dismiss careful planning in favor of, what, guessing? Not guessing, adapting. Hyunwoo pointed to her charts. These are all good plans, but what happens when none of them work? Then we implement backup plans. I have prepared 17 different backup scenarios. And if those don't work either? Veltara's glow shifted to red. They will work. Mathematics does not lie. Probability calculations are precise. Before Hyunwoo could answer, the ship's communication officer entered the room. Ji-hee Park was a young human woman who had been working on diplomatic vessels for 2 years. She had learned to speak several alien languages and was good at helping different species understand each other. Sorry to interrupt, Ji-hee said, but I wanted to introduce myself. I'll be handling communications during your mission. Veltara's color changed back to yellow. Excellent. Another human perspective will be useful for understanding your species' chaotic thinking. Ji-hee laughed. We're not really that chaotic. We just approach problems differently than most aliens. How so? Veltara asked. Well, Ji-hee said, sitting down. Most species either use pure logic or pure instinct. Humans use both at the same time. We can make logical plans, but we're also ready to throw them away if something better comes up. That makes no sense, Veltara protested. If a plan is logical, why would you abandon it? Hyunwoo leaned forward. Because sometimes logic is based on incomplete information. When you learn something new, you have to be ready to change everything. For the next week, they continued these discussions. Veltara would present detailed plans, and Hyunwoo would point out ways they might fail. Ji-hee helped translate between their different ways of thinking. Slowly, Veltara began to understand that human chaos was actually a different kind of order. Humans didn't ignore planning, they just planned for the unexpected. Hyunwoo, meanwhile, started to see value in Veltara's careful preparation. Having detailed information made it easier to improvise when things went wrong. The breakthrough came during the second week. Veltara was working on yet another security protocol when Hyunwoo made a suggestion. What if we combine your detailed planning with flexible responses? He said. You identify all the logical threats and I prepare for the illogical ones. Veltara's crystal body flickered between several colors as she considered this. You mean structured improvisation? Exactly. We have a solid foundation, but we're ready to build something completely different on top of it if we need to. For the first time since they met, Veltara glowed a soft blue, the Silith color for interest and approval. This concept has merit. Let me calculate the advantages. She spent the next day working out how to combine Silith logic with human adaptability. The result was something neither species had tried before, plans that were designed to be changed. Their new partnership was tested on the 15th day of the journey. Alarms suddenly filled the ship. Ji-hye's voice came over the speakers. Pirate vessels approaching. 3 ships heavily armed. They're demanding we stop for inspection. Veltara immediately activated her security protocols. All passengers to safe rooms. Crew to defensive positions. Send distress signal to nearest cooperative patrol. But Hyunwoo was already moving. How far is the nearest patrol? 4 hours, came the reply from the bridge. Too long, Hyunwoo said. These pirates won't wait 4 hours. The ship shook as warning shots hit near them. Captain Yas, an Altarian with nervous mannerisms, appeared on the communication screen. They're demanding we prepare for boarding, Captain Yas whispered. They want to inspect our cargo and passengers. Veltara's crystal body turned red with anger. This is exactly what my security analysis predicted. We follow Defensive Protocol 7 and wait for rescue. What if they don't want to wait? Hyunwoo asked. Pirates aren't known for patience. Another blast shook the ship, stronger this time. They're moving to boarding positions, Ji-hye reported. Captain says we have maybe 10 minutes before they attach to our hull. Veltara looked at her charts frantically. None of my defensive protocols account for such aggressive behavior. Pirates usually negotiate first. Unless they're not really pirates, Hyunwoo said thoughtfully. What do you mean? Hyunwoo was studying the tactical display. Look at their formation. 2 organized for real pirates, and their ships. Those are military vessels with fake identification markers. Veltara's analytical mind immediately understood. Mordani scouts. Testing our defenses before we even reach their space. Which means your defensive protocols won't work, Hyunwoo continued. They're not here to rob us. They're here to eliminate the diplomatic mission. Ji-hye's voice came over the speakers again, more urgent now. They're demanding immediate surrender. No negotiation. Veltara's crystal body cycled through several colors rapidly, the Silith equivalent of panic. My plans. None of them prepared for this scenario. Then we make a new plan, Hyunwoo said calmly. Right now. How? There is no time for proper analysis. We don't need analysis. We need action. Hyunwoo turned to the communication panel. Ji-hye, tell me about our ship's cargo bay. Standard diplomatic supplies. Medical equipment, communication gear, some gifts for the Mordani delegation. Any industrial fabricators? Yes, but why can you get me access to them? I think so, but what are you planning? Hyunwoo grinned. Something completely illogical. Veltara watched in amazement as Hyunwoo explained his plan. It made no sense according to any military doctrine she knew. It ignored basic principles of space combat. It should not work. But as she ran the calculations in her crystal mind, she realized something incredible. The plan's very impossibility was what made it perfect. The Mordani scouts would never expect such an approach because no logical military mind would ever attempt it. This is insane, she said finally. Completely, Hyunwoo agreed. Will you help me do it? Veltara's crystal body glowed bright white, the Silith color for determination and commitment. Yes, but if we survive this, I want to understand how human minds work. Deal, Hyunwoo said, already heading for the cargo bay. But first, let's show these fake pirates what happens when they mess with a diplomatic mission. 20 minutes later, the 3 attacking ships were drifting powerless in space, their crews unconscious from their own knockout gas. The Silver Convergence continued toward Mordani space, completely undamaged. Veltara stood in the cargo bay, staring at the improvised devices Hyunwoo had built from medical supplies and communication equipment. By all logical analysis, none of it should have worked. How did you know it would work? She asked. Hyunwoo shrugged. I didn't, but I knew our original plans wouldn't work, so we had to try something else. That is, terrifying and fascinating at the same time. Welcome to human thinking, Ji-hai said with a smile. It gets easier with practice. Veltara's crystal body glowed thoughtfully. Perhaps human chaos and Salath logic are not opposites after all. Perhaps they are 2 parts of the same solution. Now you're getting it, Hyunwoo said. Ready for the real challenge? Veltara looked toward the front of the ship where Mordani space waited for them. After this, I think I am ready for anything. Mordani Prime looked like a giant fortress floating in space. The planet was covered with metal structures, weapon platforms, and military bases. Huge ships moved between the orbital stations like sharks circling prey. Everything about the world screamed danger and military power. This is their capital? Veltara asked, her crystal body glowing with nervous energy. It looks like a weapons factory. That's because it is, Hyunwoo replied, studying the sensor readings. The Mordani don't separate military and civilian life. Everyone here is either a soldier or supports the military. The Silver Convergence was escorted by 6 Mordani warships to a docking station orbiting the planet. The warships were ugly, brutal-looking vessels covered with weapon ports and armor plating. They made the diplomatic vessel look like a toy by comparison. Remember, Ji-hai said over the communication system, Mordani culture values strength above everything else. They see politeness as weakness and negotiation as surrender. Don't expect friendly greetings. As soon as they docked, armed Mordani soldiers boarded their ship. The Mordani were large, powerful aliens with thick gray skin and yellow eyes. They wore heavy armor and carried weapons that looked like they could punch holes through starship hulls. The lead soldier ignored the normal diplomatic courtesies. You are the peace delegation, he said in a voice like grinding metal. War Commander Thekamor will see you now. Move. Veltara started to introduce herself according to proper diplomatic protocol, but the soldier cut her off. I do not care who you are. You are here to surrender terms to the Mordani Empire. Nothing else matters. Hyunwoo noticed how the soldiers positioned themselves. They were not providing an honor guard. They were providing a prison escort. Every exit was blocked. Every movement was watched. They were taken through the docking station to a military transport. The transport flew down to the planet's surface, landing at a massive fortress complex. The buildings were all sharp angles and brutal efficiency. There were no decorations, no art, nothing that suggested the Mordani cared about beauty or comfort. War Commander Thekamor was waiting in what should have been a diplomatic meeting room. Instead, it looked like a military briefing chamber. The war commander himself was huge even by Mordani standards, covered in battle scars and wearing armor that looked like it had seen real combat. So, Thekamor said without any greeting, the Galactic Cooperative sends a crystal being and a soft human to negotiate with the Mordani Empire. This is either a joke or an insult. Veltara tried to maintain diplomatic composure. War Commander, I am Veltara of the Silath people. I come with authority to negotiate a peace agreement that would benefit both our civilizations. Thekamor laughed, a sound like metal scraping against stone. Peace? There is no peace. There is only victory and defeat. The strong survive and rule. The weak serve or die. Surely even warriors can see the value in ending unnecessary conflict, Veltara continued. My people have prepared proposals that would— Your people? Thekamor interrupted. Crystal beings who have never fought a real war? Who spend their time thinking instead of acting? You understand nothing about power. Hyunwoo watched the exchange carefully. The war commander was not just dismissing Veltara. He was actively insulting her. This was not normal diplomatic behavior even for aggressive species. And you, Thekamor turned to Hyunwoo, humans, we have heard about your species. New to the galaxy, weak technology, small population. Yet you claim to have military victories. How is this possible? We get lucky sometimes, Hyunwoo said calmly. Luck? Thekmore's yellow eyes narrowed. Warriors do not rely on luck. Either you are lying about your victories or there is something else. Maybe a little of both, Hyunwoo replied with a small smile. Thekmore stared at him for a long moment, then laughed again. At least the human shows some spirit. But spirit without strength is worthless. The war commander gestured to his guards. You will be shown to your quarters. Tomorrow we will begin negotiations. Rest well. You will need your strength. As they were escorted to their rooms, Veltara whispered to Hyunwoo, This is wrong. Everything about this is wrong. They are not treating us as diplomats. No, Hyunwoo agreed quietly. They're treating us as prisoners. Their quarters were in a section of the fortress that looked like military barracks. The rooms were small, plain, and obviously monitored. Veltara's room had been modified with crystal formations, but they were clearly added hastily and without care. That evening, Jihai managed to contact them through a secured communication channel. I've been analyzing the previous diplomatic missions, she reported. 3 teams in the last 2 years. All of them disappeared while on Mordani Prime. Disappeared how? Veltara asked. Officially? Accidents. The first team died in a transport crash. The second team got food poisoning. The third team was killed in a terrorist attack by Mordani rebels. Hyunwoo felt cold understanding wash over him. But there are no Mordani rebels. Exactly, Jihai confirmed. And the accidents all happened after the negotiations failed. Each team was eliminated when it became clear they would not accept Mordani surrender terms. Veltara's crystal body turned pale blue with shock. They are not negotiating in good faith. They are using these meetings to justify their military expansion. Think about it, Hyunwoo said. They invite diplomats to negotiate peace. The diplomats refuse to surrender unconditionally. They die in accidents. The Mordani claim the other species are unreasonable and continue their war. This means Veltara's voice trailed off as she realized the implications. This means we're not here to negotiate. A peace treaty, Hyunwoo finished. We're here to be killed. Jihai's voice was tense over the communicator. Captain Yas is requesting permission to leave orbit immediately. He says he has a bad feeling about this whole situation. Tell him to wait, Hyunwoo said, but be ready to leave quickly if we signal you. What are you planning? Veltara asked. I'm not sure yet, Hyunwoo admitted, but I know we can't follow normal diplomatic procedures. They're designed to get us killed. Over the next few hours, Veltara used her analytical abilities to study everything they had observed about Mordani culture, military structure, and behavior patterns. Her crystal body glowed with intense concentration as she processed enormous amounts of information. I have found patterns, she announced finally. The previous diplomatic teams all followed standard galactic cooperative protocols. They attempted to find logical compromise solutions. They presented detailed peace proposals with mutual benefits. And every approach was based on the assumption that the Mordani wanted peace. But they do not. They want conquest with legal justification. Hyunwoo nodded. So normal negotiation tactics won't work because they're not really negotiating. Correct. Which means... Veltara paused, her crystal body shifting through several colors as she thought. Which means we need to approach this like you approached the pirate attack. We need to do something completely unexpected. The problem is, what do the Mordani respect? They don't care about logic or peaceful solutions. They respect strength, Veltara said slowly, but not just military strength. They respect the ability to overcome impossible challenges. How do you know that? Their entire culture is built around proving worthiness through trials. Young Mordani must complete impossible tasks to earn adult status. Military officers advance by succeeding where others fail. Hyunwoo started to smile. So if we could somehow turn this diplomatic meeting into a trial of strength, they might actually respect us enough to negotiate honestly, Veltara finished. But how do we do that? We are not warriors. We have no weapons. We are completely at their mercy here, are we? Hyunwoo asked. Or do we have something they want? What could we possibly have that the Mordani Empire wants? Hyunwoo looked out the small window at the fortress complex around them. Everywhere he looked, he saw military might and overwhelming force. But he also saw something else. They're too powerful, he said finally. That makes no sense. Think about it. They've conquered everyone they've fought. Their military is unstoppable. Their technology is superior. They win every battle, yes, and they're bored, Hyunwoo said with growing excitement. Look at Thekmor. Look at his soldiers. They're professional warriors with no real challenges left. They're conquering weaker civilizations because they don't know what else to do. Veltara's crystal body began glowing brighter as she followed his logic. You think they want a real challenge? I think they need one. And I think that's exactly what we're going to give them. How? Hyunwoo grinned. By offering them something no logical negotiator would ever suggest. We're going to challenge the entire Mordani military to prove they're worthy of our surrender. Veltara stared at him. That is the most insane idea I have ever heard. Good, Hyunwoo said. That means it just might work. The next morning, Hyunwoo and Veltara were brought back to the military briefing chamber. War Commander Thekmor sat behind a metal desk covered with battle plans and weapons. His yellow eyes studied them like a predator examining prey. Today we begin negotiations, Thekmor announced. You will hear our terms. You will accept them. Then you will return to your ship and inform your people that the Mordani Empire has graciously allowed them to surrender, with minimal casualties. What if we don't accept your terms? Veltara asked, though she already knew the answer. Then you will die in an unfortunate accident, Thekmor said casually. And we will tell the galaxy that your species refused reasonable peace offers. This will justify our continued military operations. I see, Hyunwoo said calmly. So we have two choices, surrender or die. Those are the only logical options when facing superior force. What about a third option? Hyunwoo asked. Thekmor's scarred face showed confusion. There is no third option. Sure there is. Hyunwoo stood up slowly, making sure his movements looked non-threatening. We could prove that you're not as superior as you think you are. The war commander's hand moved to his weapon. Explain. You've conquered a lot of worlds, right? Defeated a lot of enemies? The Mordani Empire has never known defeat. Against who? Peaceful trading species, diplomatic civilizations that prefer negotiation to fighting, scientists and philosophers. Thekmor's yellow eyes narrowed dangerously. We have defeated warrior species as well, have you? Or have you just defeated species that fight the way you fight? Hyunwoo took a step closer to the desk. When was the last time you faced an enemy that did something completely unexpected? What are you suggesting, human? I'm suggesting that maybe the Mordani Empire isn't as strong as it thinks. Maybe you've just been lucky enough to fight predictable enemies. The chamber went dead silent. Veltara's crystal body flickered with nervous energy. She could not believe Hyunwoo was directly insulting the war commander's military prowess. Thekmor stood up slowly, his massive frame towering over the human. You dare question Mordani military superiority? I'm not questioning it, Hyunwoo said with a smile. I'm challenging it. Explain this challenge. Hyunwoo gestured to Veltara. My partner here represents pure logic and planning. I represent adaptation and improvisation. Together we're something you've never faced before. A combination of order and chaos. You are one human and one crystal being. We are a military empire. Exactly my point, Hyunwoo continued. If we're really so weak and pathetic, it should be easy for your superior forces to handle us. But if we can present challenges that your military cannot overcome, then what? Then maybe we negotiate as equals instead of you demanding our surrender. Thekmor stared at him for a long moment. You wish to fight the Mordani military? Not fight, challenge. Hyunwoo looked around the chamber. Your culture respects strength, right? Proves worthiness through trials? Then let us prove our worthiness. This is insane, Veltara whispered, but Hyunwoo could see her crystal body glowing with understanding. She was starting to see the logic behind his apparently illogical plan. What kind of challenges? Thekmor asked. His hand had moved away from his weapon. For the first time since they arrived, he seemed genuinely interested. Your choice, Hyunwoo said. Design trials that play to Mordani's strengths. Military strategy, physical combat, technological superiority, whatever you want. But make them real challenges, not execution disguised as tests. And if you fail these challenges, then we accept your surrender terms and recommend that our species submit to Mordani rule. Thekmor's scarred face showed the first expression other than contempt they had seen. And if you succeed, then you negotiate with us honestly. No more fake diplomacy, no more arranged accidents, real negotiations between equals. The war commander walked around his desk, studying both of them carefully. You would stake everything on these trials? Your lives, your civilization's futures? Yes, Hyunwoo said without hesitation. This is not how diplomacy works, Thekmore said, but his tone was thoughtful rather than dismissive. No, Veltara spoke up for the first time since the challenge began, but it is how warriors work. And despite what you think, we are warriors too. We simply fight different battles. Thekmore looked at her with new interest. Crystal beings as warriors? Impossible, is it? Veltara's crystal body began glowing brighter. My people spent centuries fighting the chaos of random chance with the weapons of logic and mathematics. We conquered uncertainty itself. We turned the impossible into the inevitable through pure mental discipline. And humans? Thekmore turned back to Hyunwoo. We fight impossible odds by refusing to accept that anything is truly impossible, Hyunwoo replied. We turn disadvantages into advantages. We find solutions where none should exist. We make the impossible happen through pure stubborn determination. Thekmore was quiet for several minutes thinking. His guards looked confused. This was clearly not how these meetings usually went. You propose that I design trials that will test your unusual abilities. Design them to prove that traditional Mordani military thinking is superior, Hyunwoo suggested. Use your best strategies, your finest technology, your most challenging scenarios. Show us why the Mordani Empire is unstoppable. And you believe you can overcome these challenges? I believe we can try in ways you won't expect. Veltara added, and if we fail, you will have proven your superiority through honest trial rather than assassination. Your victory will be legitimate. Thekmore began pacing around the chamber, his heavy footsteps echoing off the metal walls. This proposal is unusual. It breaks many diplomatic protocols. But it follows Mordani cultural traditions, Hyunwoo pointed out. Trial by challenge. Proof of worthiness through action rather than words. You have studied our culture. We've had time to learn during our journey here. Thekmore stopped pacing and faced them directly. Very well. I accept your challenge, but understand these will not be gentle diplomatic tests. They will be real trials designed to break you. We understand, Veltara said. The first trial will test strategic thinking. You will face our finest military minds in a simulation of large-scale battle command. Fair enough, Hyunwoo nodded. The second trial will test adaptability under pressure. You will navigate our most challenging survival course. Looking forward to it. The third trial. Thekmore paused, his yellow eyes glinting with something like anticipation. The third trial will be my choice, designed specifically for what I observe of your capabilities after the first two trials. How long do we have to prepare? Veltara asked. No preparation. Trials begin immediately. True ability cannot be faked or rehearsed, Hyunwoo smiled. Even better. We work best when we're making it up as we go. Thekmore called for his guards. Escort them to Strategic Command Center. Inform Battlemaster Corps that he will be testing these diplomats in full combat simulation. As they were led away, Thekmore called after them. I hope you understand what you have done. You have turned a simple diplomatic surrender into a test of your very worthiness to exist. Exactly what we intended, Hyunwoo called back. Outside in the corridor, Veltara whispered urgently, Do you have any idea how we are going to pass military command trials against the most powerful empire in the galaxy? Not yet, Hyunwoo admitted, but I know that traditional strategies won't work. We'll have to do something they've never seen before. Such as, I'm still working on that part, Hyunwoo said with a grin. But that's what humans do best, figure out impossible solutions at the last minute. Veltara's crystal body glowed with a mixture of terror and excitement. I cannot believe I am actually looking forward to this. Now you're thinking like a human, Hyunwoo said. Ready to show them what controlled chaos can accomplish? Ready, Veltara replied, her crystal form blazing with determination. Let us prove that logic and adaptability together are stronger than force alone. The guards led them deeper into the fortress, toward trials that would determine the fate of billions. Neither Hyunwoo nor Veltara knew what they would face, but for the first time since arriving on Mordani Prime, they felt like they had a real chance. They were no longer playing by the Mordani rules. They were playing by human rules, and that changed everything. The Strategic Command Center was a massive room filled with holographic displays showing star maps, fleet positions, and battle simulations. Dozens of Mordani officers worked at control stations, managing military operations across the Empire. The air hummed with tension and focused energy. Battlemaster Kor was even larger than War Commander Thekmor, with additional scars that spoke of personal combat experience. He looked at Hyunwoo and Veltara like they were insects that had wandered into his war room. "So," Kor growled, "you think you can command fleets better than Mordani officers who have studied warfare for decades?" "We think we can try something different," Hyunwoo replied calmly. "Different?" Kor laughed harshly. "There is nothing new in warfare. Only strong fleets and weak fleets, smart strategies and stupid strategies, victory and defeat." The Battlemaster activated a holographic display showing a complex star system with multiple planets, asteroid fields, and space stations. "This is the Kepler defense scenario. 7 previous civilizations attempted to defend this system against Mordani forces. All failed." Veltara studied the display with her analytical mind, quickly calculating fleet positions, defensive capabilities, and strategic options. "The defenders have superior numbers but inferior technology. Traditional defensive doctrine would suggest exactly what the previous 7 civilizations tried," Kor interrupted. "All logical, all predictable. All failures," the simulation began. Hyunwoo and Veltara found themselves commanding the defensive fleet, while Battlemaster Kor controlled the attacking Mordani forces. The holographic display showed ships moving in real time, weapons firing and battle damage accumulating. For the first hour, Veltara used traditional defensive strategies. She positioned ships at optimal defensive points, created overlapping fields of fire, and attempted to use the asteroid fields as natural barriers. Her tactics were logical, efficient, and mathematically sound. They were also completely unsuccessful. Kor's forces systematically destroyed each defensive position, adapted to every tactic, and steadily advanced toward the planets they were supposed to protect. "Your crystal being thinks like all the others," Kor announced, as another defensive squadron was eliminated. "Logical, predictable, defeated." "My turn," Hyunwoo said quietly. "What are you doing?" Veltara asked as Hyunwoo took control of the remaining defensive fleet. "Something that makes no sense," Hyunwoo replied, and immediately ordered the entire defensive fleet to abandon their positions and retreat toward the outer edge of the system. Battlemaster Kor stared at the display in confusion. "You are running away?" "Looks like it," Hyunwoo agreed, continuing to pull back his forces. "This is not defense. This is cowardice." "Maybe," Hyunwoo said, watching the tactical display carefully. "Or maybe it's something else." For 20 minutes, the defensive fleet continued retreating while the Mordani forces advanced unopposed toward the planets. Battlemaster Kor seemed almost disappointed by the lack of resistance. Then Hyunwoo struck. Instead of trying to defend fixed positions, he used the fleet's mobility to attack the Mordani supply lines. While Kor's forces were positioned to assault planets, Hyunwoo's ships appeared behind them, targeting fuel depots and ammunition carriers. "This is not standard tactics," Kor muttered, trying to adapt to the unexpected strategy. But every time Kor moved forces to protect his supply lines, Hyunwoo would attack somewhere else. The human used the Mordani fleet's own strength against them. Their powerful ships were too slow to catch the more maneuverable defensive fleet, and their heavy weapons were useless against targets that refused to stay in one place. "He's not trying to win the battle," Veltara realized suddenly. "He's changing what the battle is about. Explain," Kor demanded, sweat beading on his scarred forehead as he struggled to counter tactics he had never encountered. "Traditional military thinking says you defend planets by stopping attacking fleets," Veltara said, her crystal body glowing with excitement. "But Hyunwoo is making the planets irrelevant. He's forcing you to choose between capturing worthless worlds or protecting your ability to continue fighting." Kor tried several different approaches, but each time Hyunwoo adapted faster than the Mordani commander could plan. Finally, after 3 hours of simulation, Kor's fleet was stranded in the inner system without fuel or supplies, while Hyunwoo's forces controlled all the strategic resources. "Impossible," Kor whispered, staring at the display. "You did not defeat my fleet in battle." "No," Hyunwoo agreed. "I made battle irrelevant. Your ships are still more powerful than mine, but power doesn't matter if you can't use it." Battlemaster Kor turned off the simulation and looked at them with something approaching respect. "This is a new form of warfare." "It's not new," Hyunwoo said. Humans have been using these tactics for thousands of years. We just never applied them to space combat before. The second trial took place in the fortress's survival training facility. It was a maze of deadly obstacles, environmental hazards, and combat scenarios designed to test Mordani soldiers under extreme stress. Most Mordani took weeks to complete the course. Many never finished at all. "You have 24 hours, War Commander Thekmor announced. Survive the training course and you pass the second trial." The course began in a chamber filled with poisonous gas. Standard procedure was to use protective equipment and fight through the environment. Instead, Hyunwoo immediately began dismantling the gas dispensers and using the components to build an air filtration system. "He is modifying the course?" Thekmor asked in confusion. "He's refusing to accept the course's rules," Veltara observed. She was watching from an observation booth, providing analytical support through a communication link. Mordani training teaches soldiers to overcome challenges. Human training teaches them to eliminate challenges. Each obstacle in the course was designed to test specific military skills: marksmanship, hand-to-hand combat, equipment operation, tactical thinking. Hyunwoo bypassed most of them entirely by finding completely unexpected solutions. When faced with a combat simulation against multiple armed opponents, he didn't fight them. Instead, he reprogrammed the simulation to make the opponents fight each other. When confronted with a maze designed to test navigation skills, he didn't navigate it. He climbed over the walls. When challenged by a survival scenario requiring him to find food and water, he didn't search for resources. He modified the environment's life support systems to provide what he needed. "This is not how the course is supposed to work," Thekmor muttered, watching Hyunwoo solve problems in ways no Mordani had ever considered. "Maybe that's the point," Veltara suggested. "Human military thinking isn't about following the rules. It's about winning despite the rules." After 18 hours, Hyunwoo emerged from the survival course completely undamaged and ahead of schedule. He had not just survived the training facility. He had systematically dismantled every challenge it presented. "Impossible," Thekmor said for the third time that day. Getting familiar with that word, Hyunwoo asked with a tired smile. "The third trial," Thekmor announced, "will be different. I have designed it specifically for you, based on what I have observed." "What kind of trial?" Thekmor's yellow eyes gleamed with something that might have been admiration. "A trial of pure adaptation. You will be placed in my personal combat chamber with no equipment, no preparation, and no knowledge of what you will face. The chamber will continuously adapt to counter whatever tactics you use. So every time I figure out a solution, the problem changes?" "Exactly. The chamber learns from your behavior and becomes more difficult. It is designed to eventually defeat any opponent, no matter how creative." Hyunwoo looked at Veltara. "Thoughts?" "Mathematically, it should be impossible to defeat," she said. "An infinitely adaptive system will eventually find a solution that cannot be countered." "Should be impossible," Hyunwoo repeated thoughtfully. "But what if we don't try to defeat it?" "What do you mean?" "What if we make friends with it instead?" Thekmor stared at him. "Make friends? With a combat chamber? Why not? If it's truly adaptive, it should be able to learn cooperation as well as conflict." 3 hours later, Hyunwoo was sitting in the middle of the combat chamber, having what appeared to be a conversation with the facility's artificial intelligence. The chamber had started by attacking him with weapons, traps, and hostile environments. Each time, Hyunwoo had responded not with counterattacks but with attempts to communicate. Gradually, the chamber's responses became less aggressive and more curious. Its adaptive programming, designed to counter any hostile action, had no protocols for dealing with genuine friendship. "Status report," Thekmor demanded over the communication system. "We're discussing philosophy," Hyunwoo replied casually. "The chamber's AI has some interesting thoughts about the nature of existence." "This is not combat." "No," Hyunwoo agreed, "but you said it was a trial of adaptation." "I adapted the situation from combat to diplomacy. Turns out your AI is quite reasonable when you treat it with respect." Thekmor turned off the chamber and stood in silence for several minutes. "You have passed all 3 trials," he said finally. "Not by defeating them, but by changing what they meant entirely." "That's what humans do," Veltara explained. "When faced with impossible,